My wife of 6 years demands a divorce and told me she cheated on me. My wife told me she wanted a divorce and that she cheated on me with my friend. Apparently it was shortly after we had our son. And we just started a 30-year mortgage on a house and spent quite a bit of money on solar panels. It's all in my name. We're trying to be civil and we're trying just to focus on parenting. Our relationship is dead. But I just don't know how to cope with the fact that she initiated the conversation with him and then drove almost an hour there to do what she did. Like she even got my parents to watch our kid while I was at work while she did this. And I just don't know how to cope with my feelings of anger and betrayal. Sadness. I just can't do anything that I normally do. I'm just too depressed. I finally went back to work after a few days. I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this. I'm broken, and if she wants to, she can ruin me financially for the better part of my life, and I won't be able to look at an apartment, let alone a home. And all of that is not even my biggest fear. My biggest fear is waking up and my son not being in my house, not being able to check on them, just knowing he's going to be gone for half a week or whatever the time may be. Please, if anyone has any advice on any aspect of this, I would be so grateful. I'm just trying to make it 1 minute at a time every day. I'm just having so much trouble dealing with the heartbreak, and I just don't know what to do next. I'm just trying to cope with the pain, and I already wasn't the best at handling my feelings. I've had to unload my gun multiple times because I don't want that would not hurt anyone else. Talking about self-harm, but I'm just not doing okay in my head right now. Please help me. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, get an attorney. Get a DNA test on your son. Secure all your finances including home, insurance, credit card, banks, etc. Document all evidence of her cheating. Tell both of your parents about her cheating. Do not let her roll over you with this. Do not move out of your house. Have her move into her friend's house. Redditor 2, talk to anyone. You'll be skipping the bottom for a little bit, but it gets better. Think about your kid. Don't want that immoral, selfish wife to be his only influence. Document the infidelity the best you can for your lawyer. Talk to your lawyer. Make her move out if the house is in your name. Talk to the lawyer about it. Protect your bank accounts. Cut off contact with her for everything but the kid. Talk to your parents about it for help. Answer, we're still living together. Roommates, parents, that's it. No hugs, kissing, or time. Redditor 3, couple of things. Unfortunately, you can't just kick her out. You can ask her. Understand the pick me dance never works. You got to go full stream ahead, show no mercy. Tell both parents, family, friends, everyone this needs to be done ASAP, especially before she spins a bunch of lies. Learn about Grey Rock and the 180. Don't drink or do drugs. Stay clean and be careful. Lawyer up, find out if it is a at fault or no fault state. I hope an at fault state. Don't leave the house and don't leave your kids. Looks bad in court. Start your own routine, set times where she watches the kids. Then Kermit defrog her. Be unpredictable, go out, don't tell her where. Keep odd hours, ignore her and be civil. Work on yourself, hit the gym, lose weight if you have to. Buy new clothes. This will drive her crazy. Separate finances, but set up a plan for her to continue pay her part. Don't give her any money, just keep food at the house. I know it's hard, but fake until you make it. Blow up your friend as well and tell his family, and if in a relationship, his partner. Serve her divorce papers ASAP. Do not tell her, let her get blindsided. Only hitting hard back will break the fog. Remember, you can stop a divorce if you want to. Good luck, and remember, don't let her see you're in pain. Just be polite and show no emotion. Story 2, 20 years after D-Day. Still together. My 20 years anniversary of D-Day was a couple weeks ago and we are still together. I came upon this sub by accident, and after reading a number of posts I see so many of the same experiences, but not many this far out. I decided to post to tell of the past 20 years experience for those seeking reconciliation. The short version of my WW's affair is that after dating for 7 years and 3 years of marriage, we had a rough patch. Work and life pushed us apart and I did not try very hard to fix it. The affair was with a coworker, lasted approximately 6 months and ended when she confessed. I was blindsided completely and devastated, but still in love and wanted to work it out. Forgive me if I skip over the first days, weeks, months, as I see that is addressed in other posts and pretty similar, and it's the years after that people might be more interested in. I've never been through a divorce, married at 24 and 49 now, but I honestly think it would have been easier than reconciling. For the first 3 years after the thoughts of the affair consumed me. I thought about it more than probably anything else combined. I didn't find out all of the details, as it seemed that as the trickle truth was revealed, the worse it was. During this time we had quite a lot difficulty with it, coming close to calling it quits numerous times. We stuck it out and got past that initial phase. Over the next 5 years we continued to work on it, and a great deal of the pain subsided, and I didn't think about it constantly, and in that time we had a child together and were overall pretty happy. Around the 8 to 10 year point, life was basically back to normal. By normal I do not mean like before the affair. My new normal is that I had been betrayed and humiliated and emotionally destroyed by the person I trusted completely. I do not see my wife as the same person before. I am not disgusted by her or anything like that, but I do see her as stained, maybe not the right word, but can't think of the right one. Concentrate on the love and push the bad to the side, out of mind, whatever. Over the last decade we've pretty much been the couple we wanted to be. The triggers for thinking about the affair have lessened, but are still there. Movies, friends' experiences, reading this sub, etc. can be triggers, but I deal with them effectively. The AP was never part of our group, so I didn't have that as a trigger. 20 years later I am overall pretty happy in marriage. I still do think about it occasionally, but now it's rare. I trust my wife now, but not completely. Never again. I love my wife immensely, but I do not love as completely as I should. I have never said I forgive you and don't know that I ever will. I still hold it against her, but probably more subconsciously. I plan on staying together for life. Sorry if this isn't as detailed as you need, it's more like a rant, I guess. I can try to answer questions if there are any. Redditors' reactions. This includes story from another Redditor. Story 3 after that section. Redditor 1, thank you for sharing this. Even just being tilde 2.5 years post D-Day. So much of this resonates with me, believe it or not, as we had several false reconciliation attempts after my ex-WW's affair. I would be very interested to see people's perspectives on the other side as well, 20 years out post D-Day, who did divorce early on, remarried, and can speak to the effect the first, failed relationship has had on them now 20 years later. How did the affair manifest in their second, successful marriage? I'd be interested in knowing how their process differs from ops, being aware and knowing that every situation is individual and different. Thanks. Redditor follow-up. At the behest of my current second upgraded wife, I'm posting this here in the hopes that it helps someone, sometime, somehow. Married first wife when I was 25, discovered the affair 2.5 or so years later. When I found out, I was naturally devastated and attempted immediate reconciliation after the initial shock and betrayal set in. She was not so interested in this, and so I focused my energy inward and read books on the situation, trying to get a grip on it all and myself. After a couple months, I started to regain myself and started following advice of one book in particular. A man, almost 15 years my senior, had taken my wife. Believe it or not, I even once called him asking him to stop, and all he told me was that he also loved her and would not. So I did the only thing I could accept. I put everything aside, and gave myself a mission. I would, no matter what, get her back from him and exert my superiority in every way imaginable. To all parties, her, him, her knowing and affair supporting family, even her friends. I have always been in good shape, but I got ripped, very ripped. I was always friendly and agreeable to her, granted her the no-fault divorce she needed for her career. I dated other women, began to rediscover the man I was, but lost to her, succeeded in my work and businesses, etc. I played the game she was so used to and apparently needing. Drove the AP insane by having time with her, knowing he was right outside spying on her and watching her activities around me. Drove the same wedge used against me against them, and acted with precise savagery to enact my revenge in every area. No shithead was going to steal my woman, and I let my patience guide me through the necessary calculated actions. Months later, she left town for greener pastures without either of us, me or the AP. but I remained friendly and amicable with the long game in mind while dating other women and focusing on repairing the damage done to me and my ego. I started to visit her, again knowing she was dating other men, with various levels of entanglement. Yet, I persisted. Eventually, she moved back to town in order to be close to me and try to mend the damaged marriage. Same games persisted, but my desire to return her to my life had begun to plummet. I began to see her as a target for my anger, pain, and resentment. I began treating her as a vendetta to be settled, demanding everything of her and giving nothing at all. However, I did it all with a slight smile on my face, reeling her in, just to stab her in the heart at every chance. I was merciless, and had no shame. I destroyed her self-worth, along with any notion that she could be happy in any way other than being with me through atonement. It culminated over the course of years to give me the absolute clarity I had needed all along. I no longer wanted her. She begged constantly, and eventually I realized there was no fixing what had been broken. A once semi-healthy marriage, friendship, and relationship between two loving people had turned into a toxic waste dump of pain and manipulative hatred. I had accomplished my goals, but they were not worthy of being called goals. I was young, proud, foolish, and couldn't handle being bested by anyone. It wasn't about a marriage, it was about the audacity of another man to try and take what was mine. I couldn't accept that, and I was going to let a woman I once loved be direct and collateral damage to regain myself as I deemed necessary. I ended the relationship that was ongoing with her, terminated all contact, and pursued a real relationship with a woman far superior who I had met during all this. Fortunately for me, she turned out to be a therapist, became my wife, the mother of my son, and has created with me the most healthy relationship I've ever had. She's very well adjusted as a person and I'm quite lucky to be her husband. Now almost 10 years later, my first wife and I are both remarried. My mother always kept tabs on her through FB, which I don't use with children. I hope she's better now and has found happiness. I know that I have, and she was a big piece of my life that led me to this happy outcome. I learned a great deal from her. I have no ill will towards her and regret that it wasn't always the case. I don't know how she feels these days, but I'm genuinely glad that she is a part of my past and I am grateful to her for teaching me all the things she did. She made mistakes, but so did I. In an affair, rarely is there an innocent party. Cheaters cheat because they're missing something. Cheaters are not always to blame, as things are rarely so black and white. Most people take an oath and spend zero time thinking about that oath or how challenging it might be to maintain it. Relationships are such fickle things, they are trying to make two minds act as one, a doomed effort if I've ever heard one. It's taken me all this time to realize it, but we are all just humans looking to give and receive love. Meanwhile, love itself is not a universally defined item to pocket. It means different things to different people at different times in different ways. My advice to anyone trying to recover from infidelity is to try and understand the partner and why they cheated. Their actions are windows into the partner's mind and heart, and occasionally biology. That's some information that will come in very handy if you're truly trying to give and receive love from this person. If you truly love your cheating partner, try to find how to give them everything they need before you decide they aren't worth the energy. Who knows, it might be something as simple as saying I'm proud of the person you are, and I love you once every few days. Redditor 2, I find this post to be both admirable and sad only because it's just the way human beings are. I've been cheated on twice, and I just don't believe that humans are or should be capable of truly forgiving betrayal. Nor should the betrayer ever be really forgiven. It's a hard statement, but that's my truth. My own experiences have led me to conclude that no one is ever truly trustworthy, and that caution should always be observed when giving of the heart. For that reason I applaud you stood and fought for love, even though it was imperfect. As all love ultimately is. And you won. Good on you. Redditor follow-up, I don't think that's true at all, that people are never trustworthy. Maybe it's true that you can never know somebody fully, but it is very possible that somebody could love you so much that they would never hurt you. I know because I've been that person. My boyfriend of 10 years is my life and family, and no passing temptation or stranger could ever convince me to disrespect or hurt him. And trust me, there have been plenty of men I've been attracted to, Men I would love to have a roll in the hay with just for foo's sake. Is it a fantasy? Sure, but would I ever let them lay a finger on me knowing that it would devastate and break the person I love most? Not a shot in hell. No chance. Maybe it's true that I'll never fully know him, or possess him, and he could betray me and turn out to be somebody entirely different than I thought. Maybe then my sentiments would change in that situation. But I believe that I know him, and loving him has been my life's greatest joy. He is my life, my family, my love, my best friend. Betraying him is not an option for me, not something I have ever even considered. Will he ever know my every thought and feeling? No. Am I likely to have thoughts that if he knew about, would hurt him? Yes. And the same vice versa. But could anything, alcohol, a terrible fight, a beautiful man, ever convince me to betray the one person I love most in the world and have built a life with? No. And I would bet my life on it never happening. If you have a history with cheaters, you might consider the common denominator. I'm not blaming you by any means. Cheating is cheating. The cheater is always responsible. They may have their reasons, but at the end of the day to cheat rather than leave the relationship first is a weakness. But you might consider your picker is off. You may be choosing the wrong men, finding yourself attracted to qualities that will ultimately hurt you. Sometimes it has to do with how you were raised, the examples a person had around them. Sometimes it could just be nature, pheromones leading us astray. And as for whether it's possible to forgive betrayal, I can tell you that it is possible. Depending on the situation. It's not easy, and it's not quick, but it is possible. Redditor 3, excellent. I'm almost 8 years out from reconciling and you hit the nail on the head with everything you said. I don't regret my decision to stay, but don't know if I'll ever forgive her, or completely trust again. Divorce would have been by far easier. Answer, I think forgiveness comes in percentages. If I didn't forgive her X amount, we wouldn't have made it this far. But as far as 100% forgiveness, I don't think I'm capable. Story 3, me 36M with my wife 36F, married a year, been together 6 years. She wants to have a gay guy friend come over and sleep in our bed and cuddle with her while I'm out of town. I got weird about it. Am I being unreasonable? I know and met the guy. He's a nice guy. You would never guess him to be gay in any way. He and my wife clicked right away. Anyway, we don't know him that well. We've hung out maybe 4 times. My wife asked me right out if I would care if he came over when I was out of town and slept with her. Said there was nothing wrong with cuddling with a gay man. Actually went on to say that she could have a full-on emotional relationship with someone without it being sexual, which geez kinda sounds like an emotional affair to me. So I got weird about it. Not sure why exactly, but I'm not comfortable with another guy in my bed with my wife when I'm not there. Gay or straight? Perhaps it's worth mentioning that he was straight most of his life. Perhaps it isn't. The thing that bothers me most is that she didn't say okay, thank you for sharing your boundary with me. I won't push the issue. She did push the issue. Argued as to why I was wrong about it. Brought up past relationships of mine when I was with more alternative people and called me vanilla. The whole exchange left me seething for a myriad of reasons beyond the original discussion. I began to feel as if my feelings, even if they were old school or unreasonable, were invalid. Never a good feel. What's your take? Am I being unreasonable about the whole thing? Would you let a gay man sleep and cuddle in your bed with your wife while you weren't there? Why or why not? What if the tables were turned? For the ladies out there, would you let your husband sleep and cuddle with a gay woman while you were out of town? Thank you in advance. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, cuddling with my husband is my job and my job only. I would flip out if he wanted to have a lesbian friend over for snuggles. I don't think you're being unreasonable. Cuddling and snuggling are very emotionally intimate. Redditor 2, she did push the issue. Argued as to why I was wrong about it. Brought up past relationships of mine when I was with more alternative people and called me vanilla. Honestly, at that point I would have stopped the conversation and asked what is really going on here? This sounds much deeper than you won't let my gay friend cuddle with me. It sounds like she has some issues with the relationship that she's refused to communicate or tried to communicate and was blown off. and now they're bubbling to the surface as smaller things. Am I being unreasonable about the whole thing? Not remotely. But considering you stating your discomfort led to a myriad of other issues coming to the surface, it sounds like there's a lot more of a problem than her wanting gay guy cuddle time. Redditor follow-up: honestly, at that point I would have stopped the conversation and asked what is really going on here? I'm really surprised you don't have top comment. This goes much deeper than this level. The way she pushed it tells you clear as day this isn't I want to snuggle. This is blatantly I have to have this guy over to snuggle. And I'm willing to push and somewhat softly insult you until I get what I want. Does she have emotional problems? Is she already in a relationship with this guy? She admitted to you time is a non-factor in her being in a relationship. She told you that to your ducking face. Or she's not getting what she needs from the relationship. All seem equally plausible. And I don't honestly even see there being another explanation. Edit. Actually, I think I'd go as far as to say there just flat out isn't another explanation. There's no reason any monogamous, happy, and well-adjusted person in a relationship would need this from someone. I think you need to sit her down and pry the truth out of her if you have to. This is not as simple as wanting to snuggle. She's either in a relationship with him, not happy or satisfied with your relationship, or has serious emotional issues that cause her to be literally unable to cope without physical contact. Unfortunately, I'm leaning towards the first two. This just doesn't come off as some desperate cry for help, because if it was you would have mentioned her inability to handle not cuddling. So, while I won't act like I have any real insight into your relationship, with the information you've given us she's either unhappy or unsatisfied with your relationship, or she's cheating on you emotionally, and even though he's gay it's not impossible or even really unheard of for it to also be physical.